Mr. Thinker, I just had the most confusing conversation about the meaning of life and I was hoping you could— Wait, did I just walk in on you pacing? What was the problem?
I wasn't trying to pace. I was trying to saunter.
Why would you do that?
Because I realized I can never really write about the problem I'm working on, and so I should just give up and go for a leisurely saunter.
Then why don't you just go do that?
That's what I'm trying to do, but every time I start to truly saunter leisurely, I recognize it and try to analyze it. It's then no longer leisurely. This is why I turn around every few steps or so. My saunter is interrupted by the activity of thinking about it, which is the very opposite of leisure.
What philosophical problem is this that you are working on?
I was trying to figure out what it means to be leisurely. Every time I start this task, I realize that it is impossible to put into words. I then quit to go for a leisurely saunter, which is usually something I rather enjoy. But the moment I start my leisurely saunter and it becomes leisurely, I realize what leisurely really means. I rush back to my desk to write it down, but then my leisure has ended and the thoughts are worthless. I then give up on my task and resume on my walk, realizing that this impossibility is why I decided to go for the walk in the first place. Once my leisure resumes, I, once again, come to a quick epiphany about what leisurely means. But then I am struck with the same sad failure, and the whole process repeats. So I'm not pacing with purpose, I'm just very indecisive about what I'm to do.
Have you figured out what it means to be leisurely?
I think, in the best way I can phrase it, it means to not have a task at hand.
Well, it seems to me you've captured it right there and you've done all the work that you had to.
No, I haven't captured anything because I've fallen right back into it and turned leisure into a task. I can't get out of my task mindset whenever I try to capture what leisure is. So my definition is a task-based definition. I have no idea how a true definition of leisure could be conceived, and once I get it, I lose it when I try to pin it down.
Is it even that big of a philosophical problem?
It's the biggest philosophical problem of all time. It has spanned back through the millennia. It is the root of the fundamental tensions that arise between one person and another. But I'm starting to think it's impossible to solve because to even address the problem, I've already done it a disservice.
I may be lost, but what problem is this?
To name it would be to do it an injustice. It's the problem to which an answer cannot be found in seeking.
I've had it with these paradoxes.
I'm sorry for the confusion, but I don't know how else I can possibly get at it. There is a truly bitter moment in perhaps every philosopher's life when he or she realizes that the best philosophers may not be philosophers at all, that in the very act of philosophizing we have already thrown ourselves in the wrong philosophical path. We start going and going, and we say, "Boy, look at this, we are really making progress." And then all of a sudden it hits us that we have made no progress, and we are just going in circles and circles.
You still are making very little sense to me.
Have you ever heard of the Greek gods, Apollo and Dionysus?
Vaguely.
The god of light and the god of wine. Complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Each one looks ridiculous in the eyes of the other. How to bridge the seemingly unbridgeable gap between their two viewpoints, that is what I'm interested in. Unfortunately for my task at hand, I also have a tendency to lose interest in it whenever I get close to really understanding what is going on.